welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today, I'm being sweaty. I'm playing the deck that I'm going to play in the Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy Tournament. If you've been watching the channel, you know that I've been trying some of the top tier decks lately, trying to dial in on a series of big events I have coming up. The Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy, followed by the SteelCity Spectacular, both of which will have already come and gone by the time you're viewing this video, but I am recording this the day I'm leaving for Buffalo Chicken Dip. As soon as I'm done recording this, I will get in my car and drive to Columbus, Ohio to compete with this exact 75. My Patreon already has the list at the time I'm recording this. If you want lists for my upcoming tournaments, if you missed on Buffalo Chicken Dip and SteelCity Spectacular, Eternal Weekend's coming. My Patreon is where you can sign up for that. But this is it, my final testing league before Buffalo Chicken Dip. And I have consulted with friend of the show, EcobaronenMTG, who sent me the list that he is going to play in the upcoming Legacy Showcase Challenge. It's very close to the list that he split the finals of a Legacy Challenge with last weekend. He's been crushing with this deck, and it is the deck that I liked the most out of the top tier decks when I tried them all. And it's great to have access to EcobaronenMTG, who has a Metafy you can sign up for to get his updates, lists, guides, everything. The things that he has done differently than the stock list: he has the third Nile Spellbomb over the second Brazen Borrower. That's just more respect for the graveyard and less respect for the battlefield. It's a meta call. But I've been beating this drum for months now. Nile Spellbomb and Thoughtseize are two of the best interactive cards in the format right now, and this deck plays a lot of each. The other thing EcobaronenMTG has done that not everyone does, but I do see, there are 4 Tamios and only 3 Netherglyphs. Most people have this the other way around. There are things that Tamio is better at, such as being blue to pitch to the 6 forces that are in the 75, being a solo win con if you flip her into a Planeswalker and just plus until you're done. She is evasive, which means she enables Kaito. What she does not do is hit your opponent for 4 or 5 damage. And the combination of more Tamios than Netherglyphs and more Nile Spellbombs than Brazen Borrowers tells me that EcobaronenMTG has tuned his deck to be good against combo primarily, without completely disrespecting mirror matches and the board state, because a lot of the creatures in the format also care about Nile Spellbomb, like Netherglyph in the mirror. You bomb that thing, it's back to 0-1. Everyone has Nile Spellbomb in their deck. If you're relying on this, your opponent can reset it pretty easily. If they're relying on it, you can reset it pretty easily. We've got Barrowglyphs and more removal in the sideboard when the matchup is appropriate for that stuff, but I'm going to trust the Baron this time around and go with his slightly, I'm not going to say over-indexed, additionally indexed tuning for surviving the first couple turns and then having cards to keep playing the game after that, because that is kind of what the format's about right now. I 5-0'd my last Dimir Tempo Trophy League without a tuned list and without a helpful guide. Let's see how I do this time. I'm on the play in round 1 versus Legacy streamer Crucible of Worlds. I believe that's who this person is. I'm going to keep Tamio, Brainstorm to Flipper, Force of Will to protect it. I'm a little soft to Wasteland, but wasting me when I'm ticking forward with Tamio is not something that every deck can afford to do. Also, when I play against someone who I know is a content creator, I kind of throw what I believe about the Legacy metagame out the window and imagine the full range as possible here. And here we go, Tamio. Boring but effective. I play a lot of these. Snow-covered forest. Good news, everyone. We're in content creator mode. This snow-covered forest, I know that Food Chain is one of this player's pet decks, and Snow-covered forest does indicate Icefang Coatl, which is a card that deck would play. Found the land, just what we're looking for. We get to flip Tamio. We get to Thoughtseize my opponent. I'm going to bury these Fatal Pushes. I got other stuff going on. Those can wait. Of course, if this is like Elves that just happens to play Snow Forest instead of regular Forest, I'm in a small amount of trouble. Oh my god. All right. Well, It looks like Nick Fit, actually, is what's happening. I could take this Chalice so I can ignore it. I can't beat double Zenith. Oh, I can't take both. I could take one and force the other. How much do I care about Chalice of the Void? It's honestly quite a bit. Because Tamiyo could Thoughtseize my opponent again next turn. And this Brainstorm's in my hand. Oh, I can bounce Chalice with Brazen Borrower and set up a turn where I do Kaito stuff. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to take Zenith. Gargadon is the enabler for most of what their deck does, but if I keep a Veteran Explorer out of play, or I have 2 basics in my deck, I might even be fine with a Veteran Explorer. All right, I'm going to take Green Sun Zenith. I'll work my way through those. I do have my 1 main deck answer to Chalice of the Void ready to go. Yep, I was prepared for that. I knew about it, believe it or not. Oh, that's huge. That can set up Kaito in a way I'm pretty stoked about without caring about Chalice. All right, I'll ship it. And Tamiyo's gonna go ultimate turn after next. All right, opponent drew a land. Zenith for 2. I think I'm just gonna force this pitching Brainstorm. Whatever that is, no thanks. And I could crack my clue, or I could Bowmaster here. They're maybe cracking the clues better, but I can't set up Kaito if I don't have a creature, and I can't set up Kaito if I don't have a land. It's kind of a double beat. Plus Tamiyo. That could have bought back Force of Will if I were worried about Bowmaster, but I'm not. I'm worried about Tamiyo. Okay, I'm going to pass. I have access to Brazen Borrower, and I can crack a clue in an emergency. Opponent's got 4 forests in play. End of turn, I'll crack this clue. And I literally don't know what card they could have to stop Tamiyo from going apeshit here. Yep, that's why we play that card. I now have 28 cards, or 23 cards in my hand. Nope, which one is which? 8 cards in my hand, 23 cards in my deck. That's how that works. And now I have to defeat my opponent. I drew my basic swamp. I did not draw my basic island. That only matters if a Veteran Explorer makes it to the battlefield. And I know my opponent has Endurance in hand, so I'm just going to Murktide before they can mess that up for me. Okay, and then scooping to that. Cool. All right, we are against a brew. No use consulting the guide here. Engineered Explosives clearing Chalice seems important. Sheoldred's Edict is probably terrible versus Veteran Explorer, but good against whatever the top end nonsense coming out is, like Gargadon. Always happy with a Barrowgoyf. Daze seems pretty bad here. Nile Spellbomb also could be. I didn't see them using their graveyard in an important way. Veteran Explorer is a dies trigger. It's not like Academy Rector that I can exile when it dies. I definitely want Brazen Borrower as well. Yeah, Daze seems mediocre against a deck with a gajillion basics and the ability to ramp. I could turn Fatal Push into Sheoldred's Edict in case I need to get bigger creatures, but we saw them Zenith for 2, which means there is a package in the middle. Like, it's not just Zenith for Veteran Explorer and Primeval Titan at the 2 extremes. Like, there's probably a Keen-Eyed Curator or something in the list. I could potentially treat this like a combo deck. If I think about Chalice of the Void as a stompy object and think about Green Sun Zenith as a combo object, Force of Negation over Daze starts to make some amount of sense. Consign to Memory can counter both Suspend. Like, I can counter them casting the Greater Gargadon off Suspend. I can counter Chalice of the Void. I can counter triggers off Chalice of the Void. And I can counter Veteran Explorer trigger and Endurance trigger. They obviously have a lot of triggers in their deck. I just don't know that this is better than a slot I would otherwise have. I love a Thoughtseize, love a Fatal Push. I think on the draw I'm going to turn 1 Daze into 1 Force of Negation and try it like this. Without knowing my opponent's whole list, this plan might not be perfect, but it's at least well-reasoned, I hope. This hand's very bad versus Chalice of the Void, but very good if they like suspend a Gargadon and don't do anything. Basic Forest. We love seeing that one. Last game, I aggressively Tamiyo'd. This game, I think I'm going to play Underground Sea and pass with Brainstorm available. Because here, if they Chalice me with just Tamiyo in play, that's actually pretty bad, but I can Brainstorm to a variety of answers to Chalice and then figure it out afterwards. I have 5 forces in my deck, plus 2 Brazen Borrowers and Engineered Explosives. Okay, a fetch land. They're not going to play on exclusively basic forest this game. Veteran Explorer confirmed. Suspended Greater Gargadon. That's not possible to respond to. The good news is, if they sack this Veteran Explorer, I also ramp. Okay, I am going to end step Brainstorm. They might be able to do something like sack Explorer and Bowmaster me in response to the Brainstorm, but that didn't happen. I'm going to put back the basic island. I desperately need that in my deck for what's about to come. And banking Force of Will is nice. Banking Explosives is nice. I'm going to put a Bowmaster on top. They do have the option to make me shuffle and did not take it. That's fine. I have the option to make them Veteran Explorer. That doesn't sound very good, though. I'm going to play Tamiyo. Okay, here we go. Their engine is online. So is mine. On board, they can sacrifice 5 permanents to Greater Gargadon, which comes off suspend after 10. So that's still pretty far away. Frenzied Baloth, hell yeah. Can't be countered. Trample Haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. Sick. A new card from Edge of Eternities, which by the time you're watching this is not a new card anymore. But right now, here in this moment, it is. All right, I'll block Veteran Explorer, and I'm going to Fatal Push this Baloth. Underground Sea. Push Baloth. They'll probably sack it to Gargadon. Might as well. It's there. Okay, they sacked the Veteran Explorer instead. Are they going to turn on Veil of Summer here? That would be pretty powerful. Okay, they grab 2 lands. I grab 2 lands. Creature spells you control can't be countered. So I can counter this Veil of Summer. That seems worth it. Like, what else am I countering? If they have double Veil, that's really bad for me. Sick. Okay, then they sacked Gargadon down to 7. I'm going to end step, flash in a Bowmaster, and then hopefully start taking over. Veteran Explorer, another one. All right, I can force the issue on this Veteran Explorer, which they will fizzle, and I don't get to search. They could do it whenever they want, but I kind of want the Orc Army. Another Tamiyo. Do I actually care about Bowmaster? No, I have another one, and their deck probably doesn't draw cards. And if they trade Veteran Explorer for Bowmaster, okay, they're sacking, so this is probably Endurance. It's Endurance or it's all-in Gargadon. Likely Endurance. I will respond by drawing a card with my clue. No love. I'm gonna lose Tamiyo here. All right, Tamiyo can eat poo. I can play another one. Yeah, I think I'd rather play another Tamiyo than push extra damage right now. I guess I had both, didn't I? Disappointing. Yeah. My brain did not calculate that I just ramped twice. Okay, I could have pushed a damage there and didn't. My opponent can go all in here, and it might be correct to do it. If they just sack a bunch of lands to Gargadon, they can attack me for 12, have me on a 2-turn clock. Gargadon doesn't trample, though. Man, a 9/7 without trample. Embarrassing stuff, really. Alright, last attempt Quarry. Exile target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard. Make a 4/4 black zombie. Make a copy, but it's a zombie. Okay, so they're making a Baloth. That's pretty sweet. Last attempt Quarry. Sick draw. They can now attack me for a lot more this turn. Also, my Orc Army is tapped, so my ability to chump block is significantly neutered. Alright, opponent is all in over here. If I fetch here without blocking, I'm at 1. So I could chump with a Bowmaster. Does this trample? It does. Okay, that will be harder to navigate. I could jump with a Bowmaster, or I could Surveil. Alright, sucks that my Orc Army isn't in the mix here, but I will chump the 9 damage with a Bowmaster. If I use Engineered Explosives to clear the Frenzied Baloth, that'll also take out my other Bowmaster, so that's something I have to manage. Brainstorm. Tamiyo's pretty nice. Attack with Tamiyo, leave back my blockers. I have 2 Brazen Borrowers in my deck that can deal with the Greater Gargadon. I don't have the Edicts in, and it wouldn't kill it anyway. Brainstorm. Force of Negation, your time has come and gone, my friend. I'm going to put back Land and Force. Plus Tamiyo. Explosives for 2. That's the most my deck is capable of. This means I can line up chump blocks on the Gargadon with the Bowmaster, then bust Explosives for 2, which kills the Bowmaster, which would have died anyway, and the Frenzied Baloth that would have trampled. They're gonna, I think, attack Tamiyo with everything, and luckily Tamiyo does not prevent damage, even though she does. -1, -0 is technically not preventing damage. Okay, they're still going face. Ignoring Tamiyo, probably a reasonable decision. Block. I'll take the 2 from Endurance to keep my Orc army. And I'm going to blow up stuff that's going to die anyway and their Baloth. I'm drawing Force of Negation, and then I'm pondering. I could clue before I ponder. Brazen Borrower is the card I'm looking for, though. Another Bowmaster actually makes Orc army beat Endurance, or at least touch butts with Endurance, as long as Tamiyo is plussing. Okay, I am going to ponder first. I don't want that fetch land. Oh god. Alright. Shuffle that. 3 lands. Fatal Push. That works in its own adorable little way. Crack a Clue. Sewer. Another Tamiyo. That's a chump blocker, but I don't want a chump blocker. Put that in my graveyard. Push Endurance. Plus Tamiyo. Alright. If they have a removal spell, I'm dead. Otherwise, I get another turn with a Tamiyo active, a fresh draw. The Tamiyo can dig for Ponder, which digs for Brazen Borrower. Still going face. Good call. It's lethal. Might as well. Block. Alright, please don't have anything that matters. I'm barely treading water against the thing you have. I can't afford more things. Ponder. I like that card. Ponder. Thoughtseize Force, Polluted Delta, not it. Shuffle. Wasteland, also not it. Is Brainstorm better than Ponder now? Ponder gets more looks, but Brainstorm can turn these bad cards into good cards. I think I just need more looks. I need exactly one thing, and then we'll figure out everything else. Buyback Ponder with Tamiyo. Ponder. A blocker, but that doesn't survive long enough. Like, I block, and then I draw Force of Will next turn. That's not very good. Though I can delete Tamiyo for a fresh Ponder next turn. I'm basically deciding whether I get 1 look at a card to save me or 4. And I think I actually should take the Tamiyo here. Don't shuffle. Play Tamiyo. I think I want to wasteland them first, actually. Just in case there's something where that matters. Let's take it away. They made a green. Second main, chump block Tamiyo. And I can Force of Negation a Lightning Bolt or some such thing. I'm drawing Force of Will, and then I delete my Tamiyo permanently for 1 more big Ponder. Try to save me. Barrowgoyf also stabilizes here. Barrowgoyf, Brazen Borrower. Bowmaster buys me multiple turns. Tamiyo, get back Ponder. I love casting the same Ponder 3 or 4 times in a game. Just feels right. Ponder. Come on, deck. We worked so hard. Oh yeah, and we got so far, and in the end it did actually matter. Wasteland versus Force of Will. Neither is that good. I will, I guess, bank up Force of Wills. All right, don't shuffle. Brazen Borrower's in my hand. I'm going to pass to their turn and bounce in the upkeep. Petty Theft. I can hardcast Force of Negation if they have Veil of Summer. Another one of those Baloths would be pretty annoying. I can't counter that one. Right, Force of Negation, this Veil. I did this on their upkeep, so they'd have to spend mana on their own turn if they wanted to fight over this, when I know I'm winning the fight. Veteran Explorer, okay. That's good if they ever find a red mana to suspend Gargadon again. Oh, Flare of Cultivation, sick. This shuffles my deck. That's great. Yeah, I'll take that shuffle. I didn't want that shit anyway. Shuffle, fail to find. That clears my Brainstorm. But it does put Gargadon back on suspend. Their 1 card in hand is that. And we suddenly got a game. This is currently many turns away, and I have Force of Will to counter it. I am actually going to park the bus here. I have Force if they come up with a spell. I have Brazen Borrower if they don't, and I don't want to Brainstorm because I like all the cards in my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gargadon is functionally at 4 counters over there. Brazen B. Return in the Tide. Thoughtseize, that one's not very good. That's a card worth brainstorming away. I think I can afford to be patient here, though. My Gruul opponent is in top deck mode, and I can answer the only thing they have going on. It's suddenly a fetch. Did we draw a 5-drop that I have to care about? Fetch failed to find. That's actually bad news for my opponent, because that's a whole turn off Gargadon that they don't get now. Zenith for 2. Gargadon is 4 turns away. I have to interact with this because it probably gets the Baloth that makes their thing uncounterable anyway. Ow! That's the boy. All right, Brainstorm. Yeah. Okay, put back Thoughtseize and... All right, I can put them to dead. Oh, they're dead anyway. All right, I was going to say I can put Lethal on board or hold up Force of Will, but Brazen Borrower puts Lethal on board anyway, so put back Thoughtseize Nethergoyf, attack for 3, jam Barrowgoyf with Force backup. Respect the Ponder, folks. Remember when my opponent had like 17 power in play to my Orcish Bowmaster, and I just cast Ponder 4 times and then won easily? Oh yeah! All right, I don't think this Gargadon's going to come down this game. They'd have to somehow generate 3 permanents through my Force of Will. I don't care about the Baloth anymore because I have a bigger lifelink creature. And it's being tapped. Zenith for 3. Force of Will. This is deterministic. They have no cards, no way to do anything. We got the GGs in the chat. It's really important for me when I'm selecting a deck for tournaments that you can beat random bullshit. And by that I mean like Gruul Nickfit featuring Frenzied Baloth. This is not on the metagame sheet. This is not in my testing, but just having well-rounded answers to stuff and generally understanding how cards work, you can sculpt a game plan against random nonsense, and here we go, demonstrated that. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. I've got a counterspell, a removal spell, a brainstorm, and lands. That's legacy, baby. Misty Rainforest. Ooh, Spooky Dragon Island. Love it. Okay, I'm going to Fatal Push this because the thing is a big scary problem. And I'm going to fetch Underground Sea to do it so I can fight over it if I need to. I could get basic Swamp here against what is likely a Wasteland deck. You daze me, I daze you. And then we play turn 1 over again, where nobody has any permanents in play. Okay, go. A new game begins with 3 cards in each of our graveyards. Blue to Delta. We know they have basic Island in hand. Alright, well. Smell you later, Brainstorm. Top deck war begins now. They're playing around Wasteland. I'm just going to fetch my Surveil land. If I'm not under pressure, I don't care about getting Wastelanded. They're now showing Bowmaster, which makes a lot of my normally good draws worse. Like that one. But I am going to take it. I can dance around Bowmaster. I'm not going to jam into it. That's how bad players lose games of Legacy. But I do have my opponent in a little bit of a holding pattern here. If they play a Bowmaster, I'll respond. If they don't, I'll draw Thoughtseize eventually. All right, basic Island, Thoughtseize you. Their fetch land spread is interesting. It's the same fetch land spread as me, but mine is designed specifically to make my opponents think I'm on Bug Beans. And my opponent may or may not be on Bug Beans. We still don't have that information. All right, so their hand's as bad as mine. That's great news. I'm going to take their Force of Will, and then I'm going to cast Brainstorm. They could daze me to cost me my fetch land here, but that's probably not a good use of your tools. I'll put back 2 of my lands and pass a Rooney. They'll probably get a Surveil land in the end step. I hope they jam Murktide. I'm so ready. I'm going to fetch now because I know that's going to happen. They probably don't have Stifle in their deck, but I can play around it, so I will. I can still get my basic Swamp next turn if I want it. I'm already exposed to Wasteland. Fetching a Swamp now won't stop that from happening. Wasteland. Wasting my Sewer. So they're playing the long game here. Rather than going for my untapped land, where they could protect their play with Daze this turn, they wanted to make sure I don't get future value off of my own Dazes. Maybe I'm supposed to force this Tamiyo on the way down. Oh, I can literally block it with Brazen Borrower, but not now because of Daze. All right. I'll pass. That was a terrifying draw. I'm going to let Tamiyo get a taste for, I think, 2 turns here. If I draw Fatal Push, I'll just send it. But if they... Oh, well, they're thought seizing me. I guess Tamio's not getting a taste. Or I'm not going to ambush it with Brazen Borrower. I guess it still works. Oh, why do I not know how cards work? All right, that was a mistake. I should have Petty Thefted before combat. Then I'm on an adventure and I can block next turn while playing around days throughout without them ever getting a clue. Yeah, that was messy. They would have seen the Brazen Borrower, but like, what are you going to do? Just wait till you draw Brainstorm? Probably. Okay, their only card in hand is Daze, but they have a terrifying clue now. And I'm still bricking off. They should be out of basic lands here. Confirmed. Remember when I lined up that whole play around playing this Brazen Bar around Daze, then I just wasted them for no reason? Okay, I am making mistakes here that are completely avoidable. I've misplayed both of the last 2 turns. Gotta dial in this stuff before I leave for a real tournament tomorrow. Yep, I'd love to block, but I can't. I'm kind of glad they're hitting land drops. I don't care about those anymore. Drawing Force of Wills. This is a thing that happens, which I don't love, which is you draw 3 copies of a card you're about to board every copy out of. Wasteland, this plays around Daze extremely well. Or plays... Okay, so they attacked anyway. They might have Force of Will then. I will get Basic Swamp this time. Brazen Borrower. Wasteland turns on Fatal Push here. Oh, they borrowed my Borrower. Okay. So they don't have good answers, but it's enough to keep Tamio sliding. Wasting my C. I mostly just need a Fatal Push, and I feel like we're back into this game, but if that card doesn't show up, I'm in trouble. Come on, deck. Something good. Ponder. That could get me there. Brainstorm, Daze, Netherglyph. I don't want Daze. The only thing that would do is pitch to Force. I do want both Brainstorm and Netherglyph, though. But I can't have both, because I'd have to fetch, and this stupid basic swamp that I fetched last turn. If I had just fetched Underground Sea and leaned into Wasteland, this hand would work this turn, but now it doesn't. Okay, I think I'm going to take Brainstorm right now. I'm going to bounce Tamio, and then I'll set up a Brainstorm next turn. If I had just forced Tamio the first time, that's, I believe, 3 cards and 2 spells that I've cast so far fighting over this Tamio. It's probably worth the Brazen Borrower that I didn't want to pitch 4 turns ago. Thoughtseize, chill the fuck out! I needed that! I needed that Brainstorm. Alright, we're in trouble. That's what happens when your opponent draws multiple cards a turn and you only get 1. Ponder. Alright, give me multiple cards in a turn. A bunch of garbage. I'm gonna shuffle this. A real card. What a blessing. I'm gonna pass. I still can't waste them because of Daze. I gotta be careful with this Bowmaster. I'm not just gonna, like, poop it out here if they crack their clue. Because it can kill their Brazen Borrower, which is a pending object that I need to deal with also. If they cast Brainstorm, I'm obviously going for it. Clue crack. Ignore that. Ponder. This will flip Tamio into Planeswalker mode. Maybe I am supposed to Bowmaster there because it's going to be a Planeswalker anyway. I'm still worried about this Brazen Borrower, though. Ponder. Another Bowmaster. And some Kaitos. Kaito is interesting. Alright, don't shuffle. And I'm going to pass. Tamio might just buy back Force of Will here, but if that happens, I'll Bowmaster and kill Tamio while she's at 1. Okay, I'm going to go for this now. This is some damage I can pile on. And now that I have 2 Bowmasters, I'm not as scared of Brazen Borrower. Brainstorm over top. That's fine. Force of Will, pitching Daze. Okay. We got 2 cards out of that. I'll take it. One way we could steal this game is if Tamio just ticks up to 8 and my Bowmaster slides in and 15s them when they activate her. They could just grab Thoughtseize right now, though, clear my hand, run away with it, grab Force of Will. Alright, they did grab Force of Will. Dothy Voidwalker, that sucks. Alright, they've got some tech. I know I'm drawing Kaito, which means I can win a counter war. Tamio has to die here, so I'm going to play Bowmaster. They force, I force. Force ends up in the void. Tamio's dead. I have 2 creatures, and I have a Kaito on top of my deck. Ooh. Or Force of Will just doesn't happen. Interesting. Alright, I'll pass. Kaito, can you steal this game? My opponent's at 9 life. They're holding a Force of Will that they were either unable or unwilling to use last turn. Oh, was this... Are they playing a Reanimate, or has this been Reanimator the whole time? Well, that's as bad as anything. Force that. That's a crazy revelation on turn 12 of a game. Okay, we won that fight. They're still unwilling or unable to use their counterspell in their hand that we know they have. But now there's a Force in the void. Animate dead, you asshole. Settle down! Alright. They're definitely Reanimator. I've seen tech reanimate here and there. I've never seen tech animate dead. And this puts this Bowmaster into the void, so they could just have another one here. And now Kaito sucks. I could just play Kaito. A fetch. And a Murktide. Alright. Their hand has Force of Will that they can't cast. Kaito could stun this Murktide. They're at 8. Is there anything I can do with that? Not really. Alright. They got me. Yeah, those 3 turns in the middle where I misplayed like once per turn was pretty bad. And also the fact that they were able to out Dimir Tempo me while being Reanimator the whole time. Like revealed on turn 12. Healthy format we got here, but that's okay. This is good testing. It's important. In this matchup, there's a good chance they partial juke. Plus we have these 3 main deck Nile Spell Bombs. Force of Will and Daze are bad if they're partial juked. They're also bad if the game goes long. Just bringing in more efficient answers and more efficient threats over a bunch of garbage. Let's go. It is good, though, that they had to use those reanimates at the end, or I would have boarded completely wrong. If they had just gotten over the finish line, or if I'd conceded earlier and didn't make them play out those cards to the very end. Okay, this hand's bad against Thoughtseize, good against Wasteland. I'll try it. We trust in Ponder. I'm not playing around Wasteland. I want them to waste me if they have it. Go ahead, have a dig. Look at this shit. This is why we trust in Ponder. Okay, Shieldred's Edict, Tamiyo, Fatal Push. In that order. The Tamiyo is safe from Thoughtseize. A good chance this Tamiyo dies, but we're gonna trade cards. That's how Magic works. If they just Entomb Reanimate here, I'm gonna be pretty bummed out. Okay, they didn't have Entomb. They could be playing around Daze, which is great because it's not in my deck. I wonder if I'm supposed to read that Dothy Voidwalker Game 1 as Reanimator. I'm going to have to study some lists before my tournament tomorrow and see if anyone is playing Tech Voidwalker in Dimir Tempo. I know I've seen it in Reanimator before. They have a couple slots where solving the mirror is pretty important. Alright, there's a Tamiyo from my opponent. I am so ready. This is interesting because I could threaten Kaito here, but I'm just going to push anyway. But I will attack. This is great, because if they block, then they're scared of Kaito. If they don't block, then I tell them I don't have Kaito, even though I do. Wink, wink. Alright, Fatal Push your Tamiyo before it does anything. And I will pass my turn. If they have Dothy Voidwalker and their Reanimator, then I don't have to play around Bowmaster. Like, there's only so many slots in a deck. I refuse to play around Wasteland at this point. Crack my clue. Petty Theft, sure. We saw from the other side last round how well trying to use Petty Theft to control a Tamiyo works out for anyone. I can flip Tamiyo here. Let's see if they let me. Ponder. Force of Will. I no longer need their permission. Force of Will. Don't shuffle. I will play around Daze. Another Ponder. Okay. I don't have to play around Daze anymore. If I bank this Nethergoyf, plus Tamiyo, fetch, play Nethergoyf, they would have to have Entomb Reanimate Daze additional counterspell, or Entomb Reanimate Daze to punish exactly this line. If they have Force of Will, it doesn't matter if I leave a mana up, and if all else is equal, I'd rather have a creature in play than not. Entomb, alright. Well, I'll force that. Alright, my force worked on Entomb. Ponder. Ponder could lead to Entomb Reanimate. I need to either draw a Spell Bomb or get their life a lot lower very quickly. We're not out of the woods. If I draw a brick on my turn, I'm probably just going to Tamiyo Ponder back and look for a Fairy or a Spell Bomb, because that's where I'm struggling right now. That's the angle I don't feel like is covered. Murktide. Alright, that one's fine. I'll draw a Spell Bomb anyway. Life is good. Okay, I'm going to Edict. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. If they counter this, I just pick it back up with Tamiyo immediately. If they don't counter it, I will play Spellbomb and plus Tamiyo probably. Sewer, I'm all in here. Wasteland, don't care. I will plus Tamiyo and begin my beats. Tamiyo's 2 turns away from going off. They can Brazen Borrower in the meantime. I've turned off the scary part of their deck. Didn't shuffle, has a land. Nice. We like brainstorms. I'm going to attack. I'll just start there. And then I'm going to plus Tamiyo. Brazen Borrower deals 2 to Tamiyo, and Tamiyo pluses 2 every turn. This is a wash if they go for it, and if they don't go for it, I just Tamiyo their ass. Right, there's Brazen Borrower. I have a lot of answers to this thing in my deck. I'm going to brainstorm and see if I spike a Bowmaster and just end the game. Force Blue card is here. It does expose me to Entomb Reanimate, though, if I go for it. If I had brainstormed on my turn, I would just have Barragoyf in play. Okay, so this is aggression versus control, and I'm going to put back Barragoyf and Ponder in that order. I already agreed to this engagement where Brazen Borrower touches toes with Tamiyo every turn, and nobody moves forward, but I attack them for 3 in the meantime. That exchange favors me going long. If I try to get aggressive and pop my Spellbomb, leaving me shields down to reanimate, Force of Will their Brazen Borrower, and then try to draw half my deck, that might win, but it also is much more likely to lose. And I'm likely to win if nothing changes here too. Another Murktide. Okay. They have 3 cards in their hand now. Alright, yeah, you've got a Murktide. That's fine. Murktide is 4/4. I have 3 card types in my graveyard. Nile Spellbomb does actually kill Murktide if I attack. I'm just going to attack for 3 and see if they take the bait. There's so many ways this goes wrong. Like, blocking here would actually just be terrible. Alright, I will Spellbomb them because now I have Force Blue card to protect me from Reanimate and adding Barragoyf to the board. And this attack puts them to 8, which means Reanimation is not even that good. Okay, Barragoyf. I'm doing this before I activate Tamiyo. I'm still not sure if I want a spell or a bubble. They can attack Tamiyo for 5. She's still not dead? Yeah, let's go. Let's tread water. Put them in check with the Tamiyo while also they're in check from the board. Like, they have to attack, but they also have to block. Not a great place to be. Yeah, Brazen Borrower can't block anyway. Using that to make sure I don't draw my deck is a good play. And this Murktide is smaller than my 2 Lurgoyfs. Okay. Yeah, I'll just attack. How about that? They're probably going to chump block Barragoyf here unless they have some trick. They don't appear to have a trick. I will continue doing what I've been doing. Distract them with Tamiyo while putting lethal on the board. Reanimate's like all the way off now. Atraxa can't put them to 1. They can't reanimate a Murktide. I mean, that's the same cost as Atraxa. Good luck with that. I am adding my Goyf to the board rather than leave up Hardcast Force, because Pitchcast Force works just fine here. The game's not going to go that long that I need this Ponder. And if they string together like double Fatal Push, I want to make sure they're still dead. Cool. All right. I don't have a different plan on the play or draw here. So here we go. The cards back in. On the draw for game 3, removal, cantrips, lands. Let's go. I'm not great versus a quick Entomb Reanimate, but my opponent doesn't know that. Basics are for cowards. I'm casting Ponder. Nile Spellbomb. Right, I'll hide Nile Spellbomb on top of the deck in case I get Thoughtseized and pass the turn. Spellbomb takes the relief off the one part of their deck that I'm worried about right now. Oh no, Thoughtseize. If they reanimate my Barragoyf, I can Edict it. I have that solution ready. If they're setting up a big monster, I have the Spellbomb on top of my deck. Tamiyo, alright. If they're setting up Tamiyo, then they're in relatively good shape, actually. I think I have to put this Nile Spellbomb on the stack, and I have to do it before Daze is online. I would love to brainstorm for an answer to Tamiyo, but we're just going to have to wait. My plan currently is to fetch Undercity Sewer, and next turn work on the Tamiyo. There is a Wasteland. I don't care about Wasteland until they have 2 of them. I think Sewer is still the fetch here. cracking a clue, leaving Wasteland up rather than blue. Sewer, Fatal Push, that's what I wanted. That's exactly the card I wanted. Okay, Daze doesn't work. They'd have to Force of Will here. We did it. Okay, passing the turn. I'm pretty sure their deck doesn't have Bowmaster in it for the reasons we've already discussed. If they have another Wasteland, I'll just probably fetch Basic Swamp, take my medicine. If they have a Barrogoyf here, we've got a new problem to solve. Voidwalker, huh? Okay, I can draw a card while Spellbomb still works, but then I don't have Spellbomb. I think I'm going to fetch Underground Sea and cast Brainstorm before this starts putting them in the void. Tamiyo Brainstorm, not bad. Okay, I will put Nile Spellbomb and Barrogoyf on top, and we'll see where this goes from here. Tamiyo, Brainstorm while they don't have black mana up. Put back Spellbomb and another Brainstorm. Tamiyo flips. Now Voidwalker has to wash up against the Tamiyo for as long as that's a thing. Because if I get a chance to buy back Fatal Push, then they're not doing anything. The second Wasteland, I cared about that 2 turns ago. It's still annoying, but not a huge deal. I can play through it. There is a Brainstorm in the void. They can put an Underground Sea or Undercity Sewer there. Wow, this card is in your deck? How do you have room for all these slots? How is it possible? Where did they come from? Okay, it's fine. I will fire this Brainstorm while I still have access to it. Brainstorm. Do they have the double Bowmaster beat? Jesus Christ. All right, well, I wonder if they're completely off Reanimate. Like, where do the slots come from if you aren't boarding in, like, 9 cards here? All right, I'll put these lands back. Or I guess I want to hide Kaito from removal. All right, I will keep the lands. Tamiyo's dead here. I'm taking a gajillion. Barrogoyf has to win the game by itself at this point. Opponent has a 5/5 Orc army. That's huge. I'm going to play Barrogoyf first. Force of Will, blue card are the last 2 cards in your hand. This is an outrage. All right, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage coming. I'm at 4, and I can't stabilize. All right. Yeah, I did not think they would have Orcish Bowmaster in their list. Maybe that's a skill issue. Maybe they're extremely teched with a deeper juke than normal. Normally there's one flex slot, like one slot where you can decide, do you want Voidwalker or Bowmaster? And they somehow have both in high numbers. Definitely got by overconfidence there a little bit, or maybe not overconfidence, but understanding that might not be complete. Obviously players can do whatever they want. They can put 15 annoying black creatures in their sideboard if they want to do that, but that's not generally how these decks are built right now. I will definitely be poring over lists tonight, trying to memorize any patterns that could help me avoid situations like this in the future. Good education. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3 with a sad mulligan. Gonna ship that away. This deck does have really good mana. It's something that I like about it. But 19 lands, you will occasionally have to mulligan one that doesn't work. And 4 of your lands are wasteland, so there's 1/4 of your deck is lands that cast spells. I think I'm going to bury a Tamiyo here. That's just the one that's the worst, if the first one doesn't die immediately. I don't know the matchup. I think I'd rather ponder here than get Tamiyo rolling. Force of Will and land were the 2 things that I would have liked to see together, so now I can pass a force check and hit my next land drop. Though unfortunately it's the basic swamp, which means I won't be playing Magic very long if they wasteland me here, even if I do hit a land drop. Dodged it. Develop Tamiyo or hold up Bowmaster is the choice here. I'm going to hold up Bowmaster. I think if this was an island of any variety, I would develop Tamiyo and also cast Ponder. Knowing what I'm drawing next turn is Kaito, which is not super helpful. I don't love. Volcanic Island. I'm just going to fire this Bowmaster in the end step. This isn't always the best use of Bowmaster, but you do want to be aware of the range. Like if they daze here, not great. If they lightning bolt, that's fine. But I know I'm missing a land drop. I know I have other cards I want to cast in my hand. This Bowmaster is not trying to be Orcish Bowmaster. It's trying to be something that makes my opponent do something that lets me do something I actually want to do. And if it happens to also be Orcish Bowmaster, like if it just resolves and stays in play here, that's awesome. But if it eats Lightning Bolt, that's Tamiyo, more likely to survive. If it eats Daze, that's some double spell in my future, likely to happen. Right, they brainstormed, and then it's my turn. I need another blue source to play this game, so I'm going to ponder. Nice, we did it. Another Kaito and a Nile Spellbomb. I don't think this is a Spellbomb matchup. This is a pretty clean shuffle. Attack. We'll see if they flush out a Bolt here. If I were my opponent, I would not Bolt here. It just doesn't make sense, because what if I follow up with Tamiyo or something more scary? Tamiyo. Okay, I have Force Blue card, plus either a threat or an answer. I can pitch either the threat or the answer to make this game go longer. My opponent, if they are Temur Delver, they have a really slow rollout. If they are Show and Tell, okay, there it is, yep. If they are Show and Tell, here it comes. Those were the two things that they could have been there. There's a sneak attack on the sneak a snack. I'm going to... I think I need to pitch Kaito here, because if I lose this fight to like a Spell Pierce, I can bounce sneak attack with Brazen Borrower. Force pitching Omni. If I just lose to Emrakul here, then it doesn't matter what happens. Sneak attack. Atraxa, okay. That one is worse than Emrakul, but still does stuff. I see a bunch of stuff, including a second Atraxa. That one could be problem next turn. I'm gonna bounce their sneak attack, which was the plan, but they have the mana to replay it. This is a matchup that is highly about Thoughtseize, and I did not have one. They took Omni, Delta, Veil, Atraxa, and Ponder. They get to hit for 1 million. They're back to 20. Atraxa dies. This has to happen now, because they're going to have Veil of Summer up next turn. I know they have the mana to completely redeploy, but I'd still rather have a clue than 7 life. Like, they're going to kill me by a lot if it happens, and chump blocking with Tamiyo is not where I want to be in life. Yep, sneak attack's back. So we need a... Oh, okay. I was about to say we need a full whiff on Atraxa, but Emrakul came out instead, so... We were super dead, now we're super, super dead. But Edict comes in, that can kill a random monster. Force Negation's extra fight. Hydroblast is good against Sneak Attack, and Pyroblast, Brazen Borrower, can bounce stuff like Sneak Attack or Defense Grid. And I'm taking out the cards that literally don't do anything. Alright, I'll keep my hand. Ponder, digging for Thoughtseize is something I'm interested in. I am going to fetch my basic island to start the game. I don't need basic swamp. I'm not worried about Wasteland, but I'm a little worried about Blood Moon. But I have Hydroblast that can kill Blood Moon, so if I have island, then I'm good, and I can start playing with good lands. I'll get that island. Here's the Ponder. Bonus on 5, that helps. 2 Brainstorms and a Bowmaster. I think I want 1 Brainstorm and the Bowmaster, then I'll shuffle away the other Brainstorm. The Bowmaster could set up Kaito if I do just want to kind of 1, 2, 3 here, but I don't think that's the role I get to take versus this deck. They have fetch. I like them committing the fetch on their turn. I don't like that it got Tropical Island, because Carpet of Flowers is a card they could have. The card's really tough. These days really bad. They didn't have anything to do with 1 mana. I'm highly motivated to find a Thoughtseize here. I am not in the business of letting them do whatever they want. Okay, Nethergoyf. I could fetch basic Swamp, drop Nethergoyf, and put them under pressure. I don't think that wins the game, though. I'm going to put back Goyf and Bowmaster, and then just play a fetch land and pass. If they go for a sneak attack, or something like Blood Moon, I can fend that off with what I have. I can fetch Undercity Sewer to sculpt. If I don't, red in the pool. Alright, sneak attack it is. I do have Hydroblast and Brazen Borrower in my hand. If they force this, then they can't have anything else. All right, we need Thoughtseize to break this up. Yeah, good job, deck. I love you. Thoughtseize. Show me a handful of bricks. Just 3 monsters. All right, another sneak attack and an Emrakul. I'll take the sneak, leave them stranded with Emrakul, City of Traders. And yeah, I'll just pass here. Main facing Bowmaster makes them play into it. Like if they draw Brainstorm right now, there's no cat and mouse game to be had. But if they rip Show and Tell, I want to be able to Brainstorm for a force. They have 8 mana. They're halfway to casting that Emrakul. Okay, ping you. We're in damage mode now. Something's happening. Wasteland basically doesn't matter. It does tap for mana though, which helps me. I'm going to attack and I'm going to Kaito up the Orc Army. I'm picking up Orc Army, not Bowmaster, because I want it to hurt if they draw cards. Even though over time that would be worth more, but time isn't really what this matchup's about. It's literally the opposite. Right, Tamiyo to the graveyard, Hydroblast to my hand. Hydroblast is a little awkward because I've answered 2 of their 4 red enablers already, and their blue enablers remain in their deck. But checking any box I can feels good. Put 3 blue in the pool. Stock up, yuck. Well, they've refilled their hand without tapping any lands and without triggering Bowmaster. I get a lot of looks at Thoughtseize next turn, though. Show and Tell. Well, that's bad. I'm going to Brainstorm. If they stocked up into Omniscience as well, then I lose, I guess. Daze. That doesn't help. I'm going to put back Wasteland and Daze, I guess. Put back Wasteland, Daze. Show and Tell resolves. Please don't have freaking Omniscience. I can beat Emrakul here. I can't beat it if it can attack immediately and they get a time walk. I'm putting in Verdant Catacombs. Sneak attack. All right. They don't have red mana, and I can blow up sneak attack. I'm going to fetch in the end step for the Surveil land. Glad I banked that Hydroblast. How about that? Edict. All right. I would have beat Emrakul too, turns out. Destroy target red permanent. Get out of here. And if I plus Kaito, it doesn't change the clock because I can just drop in Brazen Borrower to attack. I'd rather fill my hand. Bonus at 6. Surveil 2. Daze. Really bad. All right, Graveyard, Graveyard. Bin them both. The Kaito. I could play this Kaito and plus it. That's not very good. Is Wasteland doing anything for me? I don't think so. I might be able to double spell playing Brazen Borrower and Edict. Okay, I will just pass here. They have infinite mana. Yet somehow, Emrakul still costs more. Declined, Carpet of Flowers trigger. We love that. All right, in the end of their main phase, I'm going to waste their Trop. They've declined Carpet now, which means I could go to my end step and play Brazen Borrower, and they can't cast any spells. They would have to have Force Blue card here to not die, but that turns off Daze, that turns off a bunch of stuff. Okay, sweet. Fended off 3 sneak attacks that game. I like that. We love Thoughtseize in this house. Yeah, I mean, this is the deck. This is what I have. Let's go. A Force Blue card Hydroblast. I'll keep this. Scalding Tarn. Carpet. Hate that. And the Undercity Sewers is even my hand. Like, I can't even manipulate that with this fetch land to get 1 turn to do anything. Okay. I'm just going to play Blue to Delta and pass. I want to slow this game down until I can cast Thoughtseize or have multiple layers of protection. And currently I have 1 layer of protection on one of their spells and 2 layers on the other. It's also harder for them to cast their spells if I don't play into it. Shuffled their Ponder. Already unhappy with what they see. I like that. Okay, I can fetch Bowmaster on their turn and play around Carpet a little longer. And then the dam breaks, but then I have an island in play and I can cast this Ponder and see where we go. Cast Brainstorm. Cast Brainstorm. Ponder. I'll take it. I'm going to get Swamp Island here. This could be bait because they do get the mana in the second main, but I have to pressure them or else they'll just break out of here somewhere. And they tap the Trop, not the Volk, to do this, which makes me think that they don't have Veil of Summer in their hand. They ping you. They shuffled the library again. That's 2 Ponders, 2 shuffles. They're looking for something that they don't have yet. Oh god. All right, the second Carpet. I wasn't beating their mana anyway. This just has to be fine. Not spending Force of Will on that. They have 3 mana here. They could attempt a show and tell, but did not even make the mana. Exciting. Exciting. Ponder, please find Thoughtseize. Best card in my deck. Yeah! Alright, there's a Thoughtseize and a Force under it. The Force doesn't do much, though. Not yet. I will... They didn't daze my Bowmaster. Are they going to have daze at all? Alright, whatever. I'm going in. Thoughtseize you, playing around daze. They weren't kidding. Their hand's pretty bad. They can Hardcast Fury next turn, but I can Hydroblast that. But they can Pyroblast it back. Ooh, spooky. I think I take the Red Blast here. Yeah, I'm going to take Red Blast. That's good against Force of Will and good against Blue Blast, which are the 2 weapons I have. They can put Fury on the stack. I can counter it twice if I need to, and then they got to come up with one of their enablers for the Atraxa. White in the pool. Oh, are we just casting Atraxa? Yeah, I guess you can do that too, huh? Yeah, double carpet gets real big real fast, is the truth. Force pitching. I think I just want to kill them. So I'll keep Murktide over Tamiyo here. That's Atraxa gone. Fury's still in the grip. Another Force. Ugh. I didn't know that was there. I'm like, oh my god, how could this happen to me? It was there. I knew it was there. A Undercity Sewer gives them 2 more mana, which I don't love. Nether Wave can go to the graveyard. That's not what this game's going to be about. Now I have to decide if I want to leave up Force Blue card Hydroblast or jam Murktide and only have Force of Will to back it up. I know they can cast Fury next turn. I'm going to pass. Yeah, I'm not doing this. All right, a bunch of red in the pool. They only used 1 carpet here, which means they still have the other one available for second main if they want to break it up and do 2 things. If they do 2 things, that's good for me holding back the Murktide. Counter target spell if it's red. That one. Hydroblast, All-Star. Second carpet triggers. Do they have a second wave? No, they were just being honest about how much mana they need this turn. Nice. Now I have Force Blue card, and I can add Murktide. Little Schmurktide Regi. Exile as many spells as I have access to. This is lethal on board. They have trillions of mana, but they have to get through Force of Will. And drawing cards is risky. 3 red in the pool. 3 blue in the pool. Brainstorm, yeah, let's roll these dice. They know already if this game is over or if they have a shot. If they Brainstorm into Veil of Summer, that's actually insane because it stuffs these Bowmaster triggers and turns off the Force down the road. Okay, they don't have Veil. That's good. Or they're trying to walk me into a trap where they let me commit the Force before veiling. But they don't have a lot of room to be clever. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. They go to 1. And we got it. Nice. Thoughtseize, MVP of the format. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round 4. Great hand. Keep. I get to look at cards, got a threat, got an answer. Ooh, opponent started with Gemstone Caverns. Who does that? I guess we'll see an exile as well. Gemstone Caverns Wasteland, so this is probably Rhinos, would be my guess. It's an older deck, but it checks out. Nile Spellbomb. Sometimes Rhinos has Murktides. I am going to keep this pile. I'm going to go Spellbomb Wasteland Tamiyo. Now I can pitch Tamiyo to Force if they go for Rhinos, because Brazen Borrower can answer one if they win a fight. If they don't Spirit Guide the Rhino out here, I can Wasteland the Cavern, and that's a 2-for-1 because they pitched a card on it. This could also just be some complete mess of a deck. All right, Enlightened Tutor. It's not freaking Rhinos. Complete mess of a deck confirmed. Blood Moon. I have my basic, but it's the wrong one to bounce Blood Moon with. So I guess this is just like Land Destruction Stompy. Lotus Petal. Well, I certainly have a lot of mana. Archon of Emeria. I can Brazen Borrow that. Yeah, that's not my fight. I'm drawing Wasteland. I think I want to waste their Ancient Tomb. Or I have to put it into play tapped, so I don't really get a choice. Alright, I will play Wasteland tapped and build up to a future turn where I can do more than one thing. I think Brazen Borrower will be more important than Tamiyo as this game goes on. Interesting that they Enlightened Tutored for Blood Moon, then cast a card that wasn't Blood Moon. And it's not like they drew the Archon or the Ancient Tomb, because we know they drew Blood Moon. Oh, hell no. Alright, well, this one I do have to fight over, which makes Blood Moon a little spooky going forward, but if I Wasteland them, if they miss this land drop, they're in trouble, basically, is where we are. Sick. Alright. Wasteland looks great. Nile Spellbomb looks terrible. Basic Swamp can cast a spell this turn, take out your Ancient Tomb, and I'll ship it. Do I want to bounce Archon now? I don't think so. I can afford 2 life, because if they do draw an Ancient Tomb and play Blood Moon right now, I have to respect that. Alright, I'm gonna bounce Archon now. That lets me cast Spellbomb, just at least start cycling through it, or Ponder's a better way to spend mana. Ponder. Thoughtseize, Netherglyph, let's go. Alright. I think I want to Thoughtseize them now, and then I can access Netherglyph next turn as a huge beater. Thoughtseize you. We know half this hand already. I'm taking the Chrome Mox, and I'll play Nile Spellbomb. That will make my Netherglyph bigger. And now, even if they rip Ancient Tomb, I could play Bowmaster and Netherglyph and apply pressure. Okay, well, there it is. Did they value Archon or Blood Moon higher? Archon it is. Alright. Luckily for me, one of my creatures has Flash. Okay, Netherglyph deployed. And I'll pass. That is a bummer, because I was hoping to crack my Spellbomb, Thoughtseize them, and play Netherglyph that turn. But I'll wait. They need another mana before playing that Caves of Chaos Adventurer, and I can take the initiative, but they do have a bigger creature than me. Okay, they're not interested in Blood Moon. They need their colors more. Like this City of Traders is worth 2 right now. Blood Moon actually is Stone Rain against yourself. Not a great place to be. Okay, this is the Thoughtseize I knew about. I'm going to Spellbomb them and draw. This is a new card. Kaito, hell yeah. Okay, damage race time. I'm going to Thoughtseize them. Okay, well, several of the same card. And I'm ignoring Blood Moon. That's not what I care about right now. And here we go. I need to not die to the initiative. And Kaito is an insane game-ending beating next turn if they don't pay off right now. Ooh, Chrome Mox. Bummer. Alright, well, they will introduce the initiative. Oh no! Archon! They're locked out! They will not introduce the initiative. Not yet. That's awesome. Alright, thanks Archon of Emeria, I love you. Though we know their hand is just Caves of Chaos Adventurer. And I can put them to 1 right now, and then cast Bowmaster next turn. And that's the last one. Pick up Bowmaster. This is 8 to your 9 life. And I think I just want to lock down Archon to make sure I don't die somehow, because it's really hard to lose from this position. I don't care if they introduce the initiative. In fact, I hope they do. Cavern doesn't matter. GG. They get to tutor a basic and then die to both Combat and Orcish Bowmaster. It's in there. Once again, Thoughtseize MVP. The Enlightened Tutor package is really interesting in this deck. Generally, this deck needs every card it has, and they went down 2 cards, like Gemstone Cavern, pitch a card. Enlightened Tutor, you go down a card to smooth out your draw, and then Chrome Mox down a card. They went down 3 cards by their own deck building that game. Oh, did they scoop the match? Oh yeah, they don't want to do this anymore. I didn't even notice. All right, on to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. On the draw in the final round, positive record locked, bread and butter on the line. I'm going to keep this awesome handful of cards I love. This deck's really good at just having good cards in your hand. The mana is really solid. Every card is great. It's situationally like Force of Will, Daze, Thoughtseize. There's some stuff that's better and worse, but There's not a single card that's not a banger in this deck. All right, we've got a mull to 5. I will be getting Thoughtseized here. Looks like some oops all spells in the chat. We'll see whose format knowledge can reign supreme. All right, so they can put an Undercity Informer into play. Please deck, draw Fatal Push or Nile Spellbomb right now. Shit. All right, well, we probably lose. I'm going to cast Ponder and then likely concede. Wasteland would have been a fine draw there too. Wasteland's way worse than the other two things I said. Ponder. Another Force. That will not win me this game. Shuffle. All right. And we die because we were on the draw. I'll go to the sideboard for some additional format knowledge. I should have made them do it. I didn't look at the list. That was actually a huge spew. I'm going to remove all my conditional black interaction and bring in a bunch of stuff that stops what they're trying to do. And here we go. I don't know if they can creature juke or not because I didn't bother to gain the important format interaction. And I'm definitely keeping this hand. Whether to Thoughtseize or Spellbomb first is pretty interesting, but I think I am going to Thoughtseize first. Because Thoughtseize covers a juke. Like, if they have Belcher or just, like, Barrogoyf in their hand, Thoughtseize gets it all. My opponent's back on 5. We lost to that once already this match. Thoughtseize you. Okay, they don't have the creature juke because they have Pact of Negation. They've got a hand. This is interesting. Like, I'm not an oops expert, but keeping a hand that has mana and protection with no payoff is really interesting to me. Okay, I mean, I'll take Fell the Profane. No, Boggart Trawler is better than Fell the Profane if they end up in garbage mode. Yeah, I'll take Trawler. So their hand has 3 mana and protection. I can Wasteland them and play Nile Spellbomb next turn. Then they'll have 2 mana with protection moving forward. Dumping out what they can, playing around Thoughtseize. Wasteland this. Play Nile Spellbomb. I think I should have not Wastelanded. Okay, they're just conceding. But I think I'm actually supposed to play Spellbomb off of Wasteland there, and then play Tamiyo, and then next turn I can waste them. And that lets me develop the most. Alright. They don't have a creature juke. That's good news. The 1.5 turns of Magic we played, I was able to gain that format knowledge. And here we go. Now we got to get one on the draw. I like it. I'll keep. Cabal Therapy is really good against me. I mean, every deck plays at least one of those because it's part of the self-mill package, but how many of them they actually have in their deck to draw and cast with mana is a different story. Duress. All right, well, have a look. I don't think it's worth 2 cards to hide that I have a second Force here. Petal. Thoughtseize? Ah, boo. Boo. And I'm going to Ponder. Fairy Macabre Daze. I actually like both of these. I like the land too. I can get the land with Brainstorm next turn. I will bank Fairy Macabre, I think. Even though that is not super reliable versus them. Okay. They had to pump the brakes. Now the Daze is in my hand. Brainstorm into the other Underground Sea, and holy smokes, count it, a Thoughtseize. Once again, best card in the format right now. Look at you with your hand. All right, Undercity Informer, a bunch of rituals. I'm going to take the Informer. I can beat a top deck Reanimate with the Macabre specifically. I do have to apply pressure. The game will not end itself. I am going to wait a turn, though, to cast this Brainstorm. If I end up Brainstorm locked or I'm not able to develop, that's just really bad for me. Let me draw through this Kaito and then see 3 fresh cards. I don't think my opponent's going anywhere fast. As long as I go anywhere at all, it should be okay. All right. Kaito and Brainstorm go to the top. Is that true? I can force pitching Daze. Okay, yeah, Kaito, Brainstorm. Or would I rather hit them with Kaito next turn? I could go Daze Kaito or Tamiyo Kaito and just wait on the Tamiyo. Okay, I'm going to go Tamiyo. But if I get Tamiyo going, that's so good for me. They're going to have 3 unknown cards in hand. I have Force, double Daze, or I have Force single Daze if I play out Kaito. Or do I have to play out Tamiyo is the question I'm trying to answer for myself right now. All right, I think I am going to put... I could also just ignore Kaito entirely and play Nethergoyf, put Swamp Kaito back. or swamp Tamio back. Then I can pitch Kaito to... All right, I think I've figured it out. I'm going to put swamp Tamio back. Nethergoyf hits as hard as Kaito, but this leaves me with the most forces, dazes, and blue cards available. As long as my shields don't go down, should be okay. Attack with this one. And now Tamio, I'm going to aggro Brainstorm to flip her because buying back Thoughtseize next turn is huge. But this Null Rod is nice. I'm going to put back Swamp Null Rod. Hide the Null Rod from discard, because I can't play it this turn anyway. I'm not going to use this fetch land. I'll pass, and this is the last turn where I'm really scared of anything. Boggart Bog. Okay, sweet. Good news, everyone. We're where we're supposed to be now. Tamio, get back Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize you. Bunch of garbage. Casting Elvish Spirit Guide and Archimedes become a thing at some point, and I guess it's Dark Ritual. Alright, I'll take a Dark Ritual, and then shove Null Rod, which turns off Nile Spellbomb, but I don't think I need it. And it's also not currently in my hand. That turns off Belcher as an out entirely. Spirit Guide, something's happening. Alright, we're just casting Boggart Trawler. Alright, so they exiled Simian Spirit Guide. I think I use my 2 dazes here. Like, I daze, they pitch Elvish Spirit Guide, they daze again. Because I actually do care about my graveyard quite a lot. Because that's all my pressure with the Nethergoyf. There goes the Elvish Spirit Guide. I'm going to make sure they pay before I daze again. Right, daze that. All right, we got through a bunch of their mana there after Null Rotting them last turn, which gets rid of a bunch of their mana. Thoughtseize. Every single time, it makes me happy. Thoughtseize you. Let's see those cards again. Cabal Ritual's almost there, but not close enough. Their hand is Cabal Writ and Archimedes. I can also Fairy Macabre them in response to a Cabal Writ if I need to just cut 2 mana off their line. I can Thoughtseize them again next turn with Tamio, or bank a Force of Will. Okay, Thoughtseizing me. That's fine. Whatever they take here, I can just get back with Tamio. And they're conceding. Sweet. I had more format knowledge that time. Okay, a 4-1 record, losing a close and extremely educational battle to Reanimator. This deck is great. I mean, the spells are all awesome. You get to keep a lot of hands, which is what I like to do. It's got a good plan versus Reanimator and Oops All Spells, which are decks that are both popular and I don't like to lose to. Thoughtseize remains just the best card in Legacy right now, and I'm excited I get to play a lot of them. That was mostly pretty textbook, as other than the multiple fumbles and a surprise out of their list against the Reanimator opponent, who was the one person who beat me. So if I tighten up my play and study some lists tonight, make sure nothing's going to surprise me, we can close that gap. Feels good. I'm ready for my tournament tomorrow. It's fun recording this knowing that I may have very well published a tournament report to the channel 2 weeks ago. Like, by the time you're watching this, you might have already know how this tournament went, but it's fine. This is good practice, and these videos, I mean, this is the Eternal Weekend metagame unless they change the ban update window to accommodate Legacy somehow, which is something they may or may not be willing or able to do. But we have to assume that this is the Eternal Weekend metagame, and this is one of the top decks for that metagame. This video will remain relevant for another 3 months. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel and get my list that I post before tournaments. I'll see you next time.